Got a new brush pen, but it's a little bleedy. It's like the ink comes out pretty heavy, so I'm gonna start over. I got a new phone hanger-oner thing that that keeps the phone a little more still while I am doing the show. So that should be helpful. Doing a lot of penciling. Lately I got another page here that I'll be inking as well. I kind of don't like to do shows when I'm just penciling because I use a very light pencil and I feel like you just can't really see the art that well inside. I'm not so sure that it's like a show worth watching, you know what I mean? If that's the case. I like this brush marker a bit better. It's more smooth. It lets the ink out more evenly. You have more control. So back on the new project here. I'll tell you guys more about this particular project as it goes, but for now it's just hanging out and doing smart work with y'all. I feel so southern when I say y'all. Y'all come back now, yeah. So my son got me these for Christmas, so it's quite good. And I got this for myself, so I'm loaded. I got the goods. But this is a pretty big project. So I'm gonna be, I might even use up all the ink in all these because this project's so huge. Trying to grab another sheet over here. I gotta match up. This is where you need 3 hands. So this rock here has to look the same as that rock there. That's why I'm fiddling around with it. Yeah, reasonably so. So what is going on in the world today? Luke Gage just posted something. I guess he's got a Rumble channel, and then somebody shared it over on Twitter. But he was saying that he supports Nick Fuentes and the Groyper movement, I guess, and a lot of people kind of, weighing in on that. I'm not, how do I phrase this? So, like, not everyone who knows the truth about Jewish supremacy and, white genocide and all of the things that we're dealing with. Not everybody who, just because they know those things doesn't 100% mean that, like, we're on the same side or that we have the same objectives or something. Like, Fuentes is a pretty hardcore Catholic, which is good for him, but he's got kind of I don't know, I mean, there's a certain angle to that I'm not sure I jive with in terms of politics. I do agree with Gage on the point of, like, maybe, like, how did he put it? Something like cultural Christianity, that's something that we all grew up with, and that, we shared the values of it, and so on and so forth. And that I do agree with, you know, the sort of moral standards and this and that. I'm having more and more problems with how I see Christians in the movement, and I'm not trying to, you know, counter signal or backstab my friends or blah blah blah, you know. But it's not like the Christians in the movement. It's the Christians that are like normie Republicans, you know, the ones that defend our greatest ally, and they're just impossible to get. You can't get through to them at all, you know. But then there's the question of like, well, maybe you don't need to. Maybe it's more about community building and that kind of thing. You know, like let them be. You know, they can have their beliefs, and so long as we can survive and take back our destiny, our power. Let's zoom in a little bit on this panel for you. Interesting thoughts and discussions and such. I really never thought I'd see Luke Gage go that route, though. That was a bit of a surprise for me. So the thing with Fuentes is that he can say, you know, really based things. He's very courageous. Honestly, I see him as a long-term political player. Like I think he wants to get into politics in you know, I don't know, a couple years or something. And I mean, the dude just got $100,000 from a holiday fundraiser. $100,000. I mean, he's a major force out there. And I don't, you know, there's certain things that I'm very suspicious about, like his affiliation with Milo is really disturbing. I was never a Kanye guy. I think that was ridiculous. I mean, it was fun in a way, you know, while it lasted or something, but like Kanye, are you kidding me? Anyway, so I'm still kind of in the mode of like, what is the game here? What's going on? So, and my other take is that like Lucas Gage, I feel is, as much as I like him and I appreciate him, excuse me, I see in him the pattern of pretty much what everybody had to kind of go through to get to the end of the Matrix. And there's a certain path, I suppose, that you go through these different realizations, and you have all these copes where you're like, well, not all of them, or you know, and this and that and the other, and you try to kind of lie to yourself about, well, it's, you know, this or it's that, and then you finally come to the end where you realize a truth that you don't want to be true. And it's like, that's that, you know. And so even like in my case, even knowing the harsh truth of the situation, I'm still looking for alternatives to that, you know, and or, you know, whatever methods to kind of take back our sovereignty with whatever tools that currently exist, you know. I don't have the answers, so, but I am definitely in the conversation, you know. I think a lot of times it sort of boils down to resources. Like it's one thing just to convince people of the truth and say, like, this is the reality we're facing. If we don't do something about this, then we're going to be slaves. We're already slaves, so that's not even a question. But how much worse can it get? And it can get a lot worse, a lot worse. It is getting a lot worse. I feel like there's a sort of, it feels to me like things have to be done on many levels. Like, community building is one thing. Working through the political framework is another thing. Preparedness, is another thing. So I subscribe to this kind of email newsletter, and it has an interesting article. It's a list of all the things that pretty much shut down the dissident right, in terms of, like, these are the poisons that destroy the dissident right, and a lot of them are just simply things that we do. I guess part of it is, and maybe the culture of it. Part of it is that people are grasping for answers. They're looking for some kind of, like, well, if we just make lots of babies, then we'll populate them and it'll be fine. Vox Clementis is here. Deaf learning curve in whatever this thing is we're in, for sure. Good to have you, by the way. Welcome to my channel, Vox. Acceleration, trust the plan. Yeah. This is exactly the topic that I'm discussing. It's like, I've never been an accelerationist. I get it. I know. It's like when something really horrible happens, and then the accelerationists are all happy because, oh, that means we're closer to revolution or something. And I'm like, like, yes, I want change, obviously, but in what form? And blah blah blah. So, I mean, we're quite a ways away from all of these things, because, like, we don't even really have leadership. I was just telling my friends, like, what we need is, like, what do you call it? Like a manual of what to do, and then have that just disseminated among everybody in the movement, and be like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, da 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 da, and just do it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there's always going to be disagreement, and people will always be like, well, either they can't do something because they don't have the resources for it, or maybe they disagree with whatever the particular concept is. But not having any central central command or central plan or something, to me is really a serious problem. I know a lot of us are into homesteading. That's something I would love to do. I don't have the resources to do it. I mean, I do and I don't. I should say, like, I'll zoom out of this a bit here. Hold on a sec. Let me check the comments here. Didymus Summeted is here. Welcome, Didymus. I just want faith in liberal democracy to be undermined through political failures, of which are ample. We have lots of that. That overlaps with acceleration, but may not be the same thing. NJP implosion, typical of our orgs. Yeah, see, this is the, you guys are completely plugged into what I'm, like, my mindset right now with, like, this is important stuff to talk about. And I want to hear your thoughts, of course, on these kinds of things. So, um, what can I say? You know, I think that I feel like to some degree when you have like internet celebrities like Nick Fuentes, you you create a kind of false sense of getting things done. That there's like, oh well, I tune into this channel and you know I call myself a something, whatever the name is of the particular group, you know, and I'm a supporter of this guy, and I'm in this social group, something, something. Now, I do agree with Gage's assessment that um, Fuentes has captured his generation. I think that that's an important thing, but I also don't. I don't know how to say this. I essentially feel like he's just too young. I mean, he's very rebellious. He's very good with language. He's got kind of a big mouth. Um, but I mean, I'm sorry, but at 25, you think you know everything, but you don't. You know, and I feel like he needs time. You know, that like perhaps he could grow into something. I really, really don't like a lot of like kind of the humor that he has. It's very creepy to me. Jokes about gays and shit a lot. That's just really like extremely creepy to me. And I'm like, that has no place in our movement. You call yourself a Catholic and then you say these weird things. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know, why are you sending these messages? What, you know? And I think of that as sort of like, you know, 20-something lunchroom behavior. You know what I mean? Which is what I mean about like, if you want to go into politics, maybe you shouldn't be talking like a fucking stupid teenager, you know? But I don't know. I mean, that's just normal video game culture banter, you know? Not for me, you know, I don't care for it. I don't like it at all. But I recognize that that's kind of the humor of that generation, I suppose. Anyway, and then there's that sort of like, you know, I'll take any victory we can get kind of thing. There's a bit of that. But let's go back to what Dynamis said, I just want faith in liberal democracy to be undermined. I think that's totally where we're at, though. I mean, I know that there's like some idiotic people out there that still believe in democracy or are Democrats or this and that. But I would say overwhelmingly the country is very much like, you know, everything's fucked, where it's over, you know. And you know, whatever, that somebody could show me some stats and push back on that or something. But I mean, I've been getting this information for quite a while, you know, since 2020. Oh, there goes my commercials. La 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 la. Fa la la. Okay. So, political failures, that overlaps with acceleration. It actually is acceleration in many ways. Didymus says, and JP think pretty grim, watching from a distance. Yeah, it hurts. Really, it hurts. Fuentes is not a reliable character, right? I think he's more narcissist than true believer. I'm feeling that. I'm there. I mean, I don't know. It's a little rough to call something like that. Like I feel there's like Gage was saying, like, is he playing 12D chess? Like, you know what I mean? Like the dude gets an audience with Trump. You know, like that's not a small thing. But if you know, to let say like Milo into your camp immediately is like massive red flag, massive red flag. Well, oh, because he's Christian now. Is that then you're a fool. You're a fool if that's your reasoning, you know. And I would expect a lot more of somebody who is supposedly, you know, the next big thing or something. You know what I mean? Anyway, I don't know. I'm not. So what I'm trying to say is, like, I do appreciate whatever he has done or can do. I won't counter signal anybody who's making progress for us. But he's definitely not really my cup of tea, and I don't really have trust in him, or that this is really going to work. And that's almost entirely because of his immaturity. If I'm wrong, fantastic. That'd be great. Yay, I'm wrong about that, and we win. Like, okay, I'm on board. Let's win. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I just think it was a little naive of Gage to be like, "Oh yeah, I officially endorse this." Just the NJP thing. It's funny because I've been invited to NJP meetings several times, and they know who I am. I am planning on working with the Justice Report at some point this year. Really, as soon as I finish this project here, I'm gonna probably do a project with them. But anyway, so let's see. Again, so like my take on the NJP thing is that they start off as essentially like a bunch of bloggers, or vloggers that your typical vlogging show where you get shitlords just being really bold about like this and that, and talking smack, the whole. It's a culture, right? And then to like. So okay, now we're a political party. Whoa, that's a big jump. That's a big jump. And great, we were all behind it. We're like, oh, this is fantastic, super excited. Warren Balow, in my book, is top notch. I think he really is the best of the bunch for my money. I don't like listen to every single show, and I'm not like super hardcore about NJP, other than just supporting an organization that is for us, right? So I don't really know the drama. I don't have time to like get into other people's fucking drama. I've got better things to do. Anyway, where I'm going with this is just that I don't think that they were really set up from the beginning to be like a legit party, because of that whole like shitlord culture that they have. Does that make sense? I mean, like when you're just like being openly racist and trying to shock people, and black pills and black pills and black pills. It's like, this is just a show, guys. This isn't a political party. You know what I mean? Like, a political party isn't going to do that, And then when I found out, like, okay, wow, NJP is the National Justice Party. It's a political party. Awesome, we got our own party. And then I found out, well, they're not actually legally a party. Then I'm like, what? Like, then don't call yourself one. Like that kind of shot it down for me a bit. A lot of people who I love and respect are very big into NJP, and so how you don't have time in the day to like watch every show and read every post and all that. So you kind of trust your friends' take to say like, okay, this is some quality, and I do appreciate like the real life activism that they did. That's probably the best that they've contributed to everything. I gotta turn the music down a sec. Hold tight. I just always feel like I'm yelling. So you guys are commenting. I need to get back here and read the comments. Just no, what is you are very talented, nice artwork, bro. Oh, hey man, thanks. Mucho, thank you. I'm one of the first 2012 plus pilled. I'm older too. Perseverance and war of attrition, etc., may be the way. Yeah, I'm older than most people think I am, which I like keeping that a secret. But yeah, age and time and wisdom, it comes together, not just having a big mouth, you know what I mean? So anyway, I want Fuentes to do well. Like I wish him well. But there's just so many weird things about him that I'm like, like that's awkward. That's awkward. His take on women, I think, is really inappropriate. Um, I just don't want to really go down that path of like the shit that he does or whatever. But anyway, Vox says Warren is great. I've known Emily since the beginning. We're from the same area. Wow, that's awesome. Hey, welcome Ken Gray Bear. Good line work. Hey, thanks, bro. Welcome Ken. So regarding Emily, I met her at the first White Art Collective music festival. I performed there. She played with Hyrith, and of course is good friends with Hyrith, and I'm good friends with Hyrith. And so we're all friends. So that was fun meeting her. When I first met her, I was like, oh, nerd out. Oh my God, this I believe because I was like, and I think that was whatever. Okay, I know it was sort of a fan moment. I mean, I nerded out. And she was like, "Are you okay?" So a little embarrassing, but kind of a funny story. Da da da. So what can I say? Yeah, I mean, there's a side of me that's like, oh, well, do some artwork about the problem or something, and then the other side says like, no, go fix the problem. Like, don't like art it has its function, but there's a part of you that's like, you gotta go out there and get her done, kind of. And you start with yourself. You know what I mean? So, well, then it's like, okay, then it's on me. What do I have? What can I do? For myself, for starters, to say go off grid. And then how can I create a community? Can I create a community? Mm, is there something political that I can do? There's a lot of questions at hand here. I think so. Like, I'm looking at downsizing this year, and I'm essentially going through this kind of process where I hope to finally, do the thing that I say that I want to do, which is to get more, not independent. It's like, it's, self-sufficient is the word I'm looking for. And I've got a bunch of friends that do that kind of stuff, and I can learn from them, maybe get into hunting and all of that stuff. So, I feel like a lot of it is kind of joining forces with local people that already do these things. I met a guy over the summer who's got a bee farm, and I'm like, there you go. You know, like hang out with this dude. Learn about how to be a beekeeper. You know, um, that's pretty neat. Um, what pens are you using? All right. Well, we're gonna have a little talk shop moment here. Let me back out a bit. I prefer these kind of Asian style markers that are brush pens. I used to do traditional inking with a normal brush, an ink, India ink, and I like that. But to be honest with you, like the micron markers are pretty much the standard for the industry. Excuse me. This has all of the different sizes, and so that is one of those important aspects of like what are you thinking through what you're doing and what's required. Anyway, so back to the discussion here. Let's see who's saying what. R.I.P. Oh God, yeah, when with Christmas I thought about Jeff Winston, and I mean I lost my mom 2 years ago. I'm devastated, and I had a horrible Christmas. I was just crying and crying, and it was awful. So I think about my friend Hyrith and what an unbelievable loss that she's coping with. She's got a 3-month-old baby. I mean, there's so many aspects of this it's just so beyond tragic. So it really is very, very sad. Excuse me. So Didymus says good art is capable of grabbing some people in ways that speeches and books and ideology won't. Very important. I appreciate you saying that. Vox adds here, Hyrith's boyfriend or hubby. I heard past. So yeah, if you look around my channel, you'll see I have 3 different memorial shows for him. His name's Jeff Winston. He was the founder of the White Art Collective, of which I'm one of the pillar members. And yes, he passed away tragically. So it's a big blow to the community. What I've been doing and will continue to do is to carry the torch and produce more content. With the holidays here, I haven't been doing as much, but I've got a couple interesting shows coming down the line. More engagement and this and that and the other thing. So like the Christmas show that I did had some pretty big names on it, and I'm in touch with a lot of these people on a fairly regular basis. They're always looking to do good cultural content with me, and I'm not like I wasn't sort of voted the like the next leader of the White Art Collective. I am just essentially carrying the torch in my own way. There's other people doing other things out there as well, but yeah, it's just everyone's in shock still. To be honest, we're all really in shock about it. And okay, so I believe they're like they were set to get married. They're like fiance, that kind of thing. And they the baby and blah 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 blah. So whatever. They were gonna get married. Vox says, "Damn, sorry to bring up black pills around the holidays. Don't worry, buddy. Believe me, I am pretty tough. I've been through a lot." I would say to some extent, I don't know how to put this, sort of on good terms with death, if that makes sense. I've dealt with it a lot in my life, and I feel like I'm pretty good at helping people grieve when they're going through these things. My own sort of spiritual, cosmological stuff is all in line and solid, so I'm pretty comfortable with that topic. that's what it is. Let's see. Didymus says, truly tragic to be a young widow. Oh, God, with an infant. I mean, it's just too much. It's too much. It's, I'm in touch with Hyrith frequently, and I think, I mean, there's a kind of a shock that happens to your system, and you almost can't believe it. Like when my mom died, and even when my dad died when I was young, there was this. Like when I was a kid, I used to go to the front door at around 4 or 5 o'clock every day, and wait for my dad's car to drive in the driveway because I knew he's home from work, and it's time for a family dinner, and yeah, your dad's home, like that kind of thing. And then when he died, I still had the habit of going to the front door and looking out for his car. And of course, that's it's a very sad thing. But you just it takes time for this stuff to kind of sink in, and I think she's got to rebuild her life. She's got a very, very good friend and family network to help with that. So thank God for that. She's very resilient. But what? Oh, wow. I'm still grappling with it. I'm still grappling with it. But the mission really is to just carry on the legacy. Continue producing good content for the culture and the movement, of which there's great things happening. There's a lot happening. Dynamis says, oh yeah, okay. So back to the thing, this topic here. Just grab a little water here. Hold up. Yeah, so I feel like there should be some kind of it's not like a central command or something, but it's just sort of like, here's the newsletter of the movement. Like these are the things that you should be doing. Here is a list of people with various resources that we can work with each other and help each other out. I'm gonna zoom out here and start drawing some architecture. Does that make sense? And we know that anytime we do anything that our enemies just immediately try to sabotage it. They'll do whatever they can, hack the websites and shut down financial processors or this, that, and whatever they can do to hurt us, they'll always try. But it's sovereignty or slavery. It really is the choice. Sovereignty or slavery. And like I said earlier, we're really already slaves. Nothing is what they say it is. You think about how your taxes are being, basically dropped in the form of bombs on Palestine right now. And I just saw a clip of some Palestinian children in a hospital with severe burns, and the doctors are trying to assist them, and they're screaming in pain, and I'm like, holy God, and like, it's this whole tax thing is just, it's total, like, it's just thievery, it's total thievery. Anyway, so a lot of work to be done. The whole like red pill to normies thing is obviously an important thing. But at this point, I feel like if you don't get it, you're never gonna get it. You're kind of beyond hope. Maybe that's not true. Maybe that's a cruel thing to say, and I shouldn't say that. But I'm more interested right now in just us building our own communities and getting our shit together, you know. And I mean, just to live, like, I'm not talking like anything revolutionary, you know. I'm just talking about like having your own schools, you know, having your own economy, you know, having your own right to your life and your sovereignty and all of it, you know. It's like the expression we use that access to white people is not a human right, you know. That's a pretty heavy concept if you think about it, you know. But I don't know, maybe that's an endeavor that I should work on for the next year. Like the newsletter thing I was just talking about. I could really even do shows about that. Actually, that would perhaps be better. But I don't know. We'll check it out. Okay, Didymus, truly tragic. Vox says, where there is white life, there is hope. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Didymus says, how big is this art project you are working on? I will show you in a second. Vox says, I like your simple, practical approach. Smart. Well, it's funny you should say that, because I do a lot of different art, and some of it's very, very complex. But, excuse me, with this particular comic, the colorist, we have like a digital colorist, he's going to do the majority of the heavy lifting in terms of tone and color and texture and all of the stuff that brings a comic book to life. I think you guys, you know, I must be somewhat familiar with what's going on in comics. And the digital coloring is off the charts. Like, it's crazy beautiful. It's really, really good. Anyway, I'm about to show you how big this project is. These are some new pages, but this is the whole thing right now. And I don't know how many pages there are in here. Let's see if I can get a number. You know, maybe about 60 pages, I guess. And it's funny because these are like, this is sort of the cover art here, and kind of features the main character. I'll do like a little, you know, sweep through the book to kind of give you a look at some of the art. But I've been working on it for a long time, as you can imagine. I'm not the writer of this, by the way. Like, I get paid to do this. I did design the characters, though. And of course, I'm doing all the line art. But, you know, when you work with a writer, they say, okay, well, I have a concept for this character, and he is about this, he has these powers, he looks like this, he talks like this, A, B, C, D, F, G, you know, he does blah, 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 you know, whatever. And then you have to come up with some kind of visualization for what the style is, the costumes, the whole thing. And then there's the translating the script into art that tells a story and is visually clear and understandable and fun, you know, and exciting, and has like you know, like, I'm a huge superhero fan. I'm not ashamed of it. You know, I'm just not, you know, like, I know there's a lot of people that have like a big chip on their shoulder and like, superheroes are for kids or some kind of shit. And I'm like, it's just modern mythology is kind of how I see it. It's fun, you know, it's fun stuff. So this, you guys are getting a kind of a backstage look at some of the cool shit in this story. Fun, 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 fun. Just, yeah, so I guess that's as much as I will show of that. There's a lot of, like, you know, just keep it under wraps, don't give too much away kind of thing. But I feel that gives you a sense of like all the time and effort I've put into this. Again, I'm getting paid, so it's not like I'm just, doing this on my own. Nosh, very good. Don't forget to delete stream chat. Thanks for showing us. Is there anything really dangerous in the stream chat? I mean, I don't think we're really saying anything, horrible here. So, gotta get some markers, and maybe I break out those new markers. Hello. Yes, the micron markers. Now, what size do I want? Let's give this a look. Ooh, that's really, really thin. But so the super thin ones are good for things that are very far away. So for example, I have this kind of like church architecture in the back scene here. I'll kind of give you a closer look at that. And so like, I think this would be a good marker for that. And I was a bit of an inking snob for a long time. I was very much like, oh, I'm not going to use markers. I'm only going to use traditional materials, crow quill pens and brushes. And I did, and that was fun and cool. But it's just time consuming, it takes extra time. And this type of work is extremely time consuming and laborious. So you really don't want to take more time than you need to, Perfect line, nice and clean, beauty. Marvelous. All right. It's funny, I would say that drawing things far away is harder than anything else in comics because you have to understate whatever it is. You have to kind of, if you try to draw every single line in there, it just gets mucky and it looks like crap. So you want to imply things, if that makes sense. Can you guys still hear the music? Doing a little bit of minimal techno tonight. There is one of my DJ buddies is playing tomorrow night. He's like opening for some national headliner, big name guy, whom I don't know. And then it's like 35 to get in. And I'm like, no, sorry, not going. Like I like house and all that, but I'm not into it on the level of like knowing all the big names and going. There was last summer, was it? The summer before, I think it was last summer. I don't remember. Last summer, yeah. I'm at this house music event, and I know a lot of DJs. So one of my buddies was there. He's a young guy, he's DJ, and he goes on before the big name dude comes on. And he does his thing, and he does a good set. And then later in the evening, the big name, the famous guy comes on. And I'm listening to him, and I go over to the young DJ buddy, and I'm like, "You're better than this guy," And this kid, he was like, did a double take. He was like, "Oh my God, like, thank you for saying that." Really. So it's just nice to encourage people, and give them a little bump, help them along on their path. Awesome sauce. So let's see, choosing the correct level of abstraction is important for everything from science to writing to art. Whoa, visual art. I mean, yeah, that's actually a pretty deep statement if you think about it. Abstract thinking is an important. it's a sign of high IQ, actually. Like, people with low IQs can't really put abstract concepts together. And I'm speaking as a teacher here as well. Um, it's a thing. So what else is going on here? Yeah, I'm the guy that's like comes up with a million ideas and doesn't have time to do like a third of them, a fourth of them. I'm. It's not that I'm ashamed of having the ideas, but I'm frustrated that I can't like follow through. So much of life is just trying to fucking survive. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's how they get you. Like, oh, my car broke down. How am I gonna this month something something? You know what I mean? It's just too much fucking slavery. Oh, but we got billions to send to Ukraine. Oh yeah, come and get your billions. Um, we're really living on a tax plantation. That's all. And we are picking the cotton. That's what it is. Anyway, I know R. Crumb is not one of us, but I like the documentary on him. Yes, I like it too. I saw it a long time ago. There is white pills even in clown world. His attitude towards modernity, I like, very true, and his illustrations on ends, are hilarious. That's good. That was funny. That was funny. Yeah, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but like I would bet money that he's probably Jewish. You know. Even so, there is a lot of there's something there. I mean, like in terms of like, of course, his artwork, the kind of the rebellion against the kind of modernization of America. I think that there's a lot to say for his like holding his own standards as an artist. And there's a lot there. I think for me as an illustrator, there's something there in terms of like looking at his art and what's his art of like the methodology of how he puts a piece together. So there's all that going on. But that's an interesting point. I saw the documentary when I was more like, I was younger, and when you sort of in the brought up in kind of like the art education world, if you will, then you're. It's not that I was liberal, but everyone around you is. You know what I'm saying? And your teachers are, and it's just kind of a thing. So more so than that, though, you're young, you're you're an artist, you're very passionate, uh, you're like overstimulated in a way, and then you're in this kind of like school or college environment where teachers are in a sense encouraging that. You know what I mean? So what does it all mean? What does it all mean? Um, I'm like drawing, and I'm also trying to think at the same time. So I'm kind of like dropping the ball here a bit. But let's make a statement on this. So like, you, when you're young and you're in kind of in art school or what have you, especially me, because my dad just died when I was 18, and then I went straight into art college. I was a mess. I was all over the place. I was young, terrified, brokenhearted, no guidance, very bad, very, very bad. And I had no roots. I mean, it was pretty rough. And so the only thing I was good at was art and music. So I really got grounded into that world, and it helped me a lot. Fortunately, my parents, traditional Catholics, like they were very rooted in conservative thinking and conservative values and ways and such. So even though I had my fun, in college, I just it just never I was never attracted to the kind of like crazy off the charts wacky overindulgence lifestyle. And I did see people kind of go down a road that and not come back. I saw people go off the edge with just like drug usage and stuff, and it made me realize, like, okay, this fun time crazy artist party life is not really safe. There's a danger here. um and I'm not into that. I'm not looking to like throw my life into the shitter, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, I guess I learned just from other people's mistakes in that regard. um and there you go, and now you know. But I don't know if, so suffice to say, like, people like R. Crumb, I guess I would say that I was able to appreciate him, when I was in art school and stuff. And I can now too. I'm not like against him or whatever. And other than like he's definitely degenerate. He's like very weird, sexual kind of. I don't even know what to call what he is. He's just a wackadoo. But it's kind of like, well, that was the '60s, man, or that was the '70s, man, and that was what indie comics was doing. Was everything was like breaking down the norms of society, man. And you and I kind of know that's like, okay, well, that's very cultural Marxist type bullshit, right? That wasn't. We know now about the CIA being behind this and that. I mean, even today, the music industry is controlled by the Jews. I mean, Hollywood. I mean, just do the math. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, which is another sort of aspect of the arts, is how our enemies know the power of it. So, and they've alienated the public so much from it with like postmodernism. um Everything, like every commercial and everything, all that like trap music and hip hop and shit, and it's just like insufferable, totally insufferable. um Anyway, this has always been the problem with my show, is like I'm concentrating on my art and trying to have a conversation at the same time. It's like riding a unicycle and juggling. Try that on for size. Let me check the what you're saying here. Wow, same, but I managed to keep some grounding. Vox says Tavistock Institute grooming. So it's funny, at one point I wanted to go to India when I was in my undergrad, and my counselor had the wisdom to stop me. I look back, I'm like, fuck, man. Like, India, like I can't, especially being like as lost as I was when I was young. That would have fucked me up pretty bad. I can't even imagine. where would I be today if I had, I don't know, it's just a weird, and I don't think India is all that bad or whatever, but like I needed to get on a career path, you know what I mean? Um, so whatever. Let's see, architecture is the worst because you literally can't escape from it. Every fire station and apartment block is an attack. So, yeah, this is another aspect. I had Mark Collette on my show a couple of years ago, I guess, Imperium Art, and you can look it up on this channel. And one of the big topics we cover is architecture and how architecture has such an impact on us culturally and psychologically that when you're surrounded with, like, when they tear down the beautiful old historic buildings and then replace them with like shopping malls and that kind of office buildings, what have you, it's demoralizing. It's very demoralizing, and especially in Europe, obviously, with like the really old. And then you see how Muslims have been burning down churches. I mean, people don't have any idea how many churches have been burnt in Europe and in France specifically. I mean, I can't, I just can't, I just can't. Like, it's so unbearably horrible to see that. And I don't know, now we're going down that road, of like, why are Europeans allowing this to happen? Why are white people allowing this to happen? So this is something that Joel Davis posted on recently, and I'm really, really, I think this is a larger theme for my 2024, and that is that we need a racial spiritualism or a spiritual racialism to ground us, to put us, you know, mentally, spiritually in the center of our own narratives. Um, there's a lot to it, obviously. That's a pretty serious topic. But he's saying, like, it's our fault. It's our fault. Like, yeah, we know how they did it. We know what they're doing, da 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 da. But in the end, somehow we allowed this in, and we are responsible for getting it out. You know what I'm saying? So this is why killing the spirit of white people in the West is one of the central missions of our enemies. That's what critical race theory is: diversity, equity, inclusion, otherwise known as DIE. Um, the every commercial having blah blah blah. It's Marvel movies being brutalized with like race swapping and gender swapping. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous, and that is clearly meant to destroy our spirit. And it's worked in many ways, but it's not just that. It's like the economy, the education, the problem with loneliness. We have like a crisis of loneliness in our culture. I think somebody brought up on Twitter today about video games. Like, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh no, don't go after my video games," But and I see it, in my own son, like the kind of culture of the video games and how it's sort of I don't know what to say other than it's like it excuses them from going out and living and having normal human interactions with people. It stifles their social skills. And then there's that whole like TikTok culture where, like, if he's not making 100,000 a year, then he's not man enough for me. That all that bullshit. And I mean, when you're 18, you're not fucking, like, you're like, yeah, right. I'm gonna jump online with my buddies and shoot up some anime characters or something. Um, but yeah, so there's a lot of shit going on, and it's tough. It's tough out there. Even for people who are not young, it's hard to meet, and get into relationships and such. Anyway, let's go back to the chat. Um, the the Novus Ordo Catholicism did that to all their own buildings, demolished the guts and replaced them with IKEA tables. Jesus. Oh, God, this is sickening. Why? What was the point? Notre Dame's rehab is finished. No kidding. However, replacing the original work, well, impossible, really, of course. Taylor Swift, culture, come on, really, geez. Yeah, right. Western Kind United. Is that the best name ever? Welcome, my bro. I cannot stay and chat, but I send my regards. Well, God bless you, brother. It's good to have you here for just a moment, even just a moment. Das ist gut. So, there you go, and now you know. I don't know if this is boring for you to watch me doing this architectural drawing stuff, Like, and now for a windowsill. Amazing. This guy's on like a balcony here. Um, but yeah. So I have a controversial show that is in development. I don't know if it's going to be like a mini series or just like a one shot, but there is, excuse me, there's a great speechwriter by the name of Kai Moros in our sphere. And if you don't know him, look him up. He does very controversial speeches. He's a very outspoken revolutionary, and so the theme of his speeches are essentially a call to revolution, and he doesn't hold any punches. So uh, I'm probably going to have to do it on my Rumble channel. I don't think that YouTube will allow that. I'll lose my YouTube channel. And so he has a speech on hate, on what is hate and how can it be used and all this stuff. So it's clearly that's controversial. But my take is that like the whole like hate has no home here dialectic is just all part of the entire Marxist approach to disenfranchise whites. Like, the idea of like framing migrants and like helping migrants as being loving and not hateful. Like, if you're against helping migrants, you're hateful, and hate has no home here. And, that kind of shit. It's a way to shut people down from standing up for their liberties and their demographic interests. So, that to me is kind of like the obvious one. That's like not hard to really see that. But anyway, the guys that I have on the panel to discuss this, one is a pagan and one is a Catholic, and so they have very different views on this. And obviously, the Christian approach is going to be more love focused, but yet at the same time not lovey-dovey bullshit, you know. Like it's like, in a sense, it's like love your own people, you know. Take care of your own, you know. But whereas the pagan is very, very like warring in his philosophy, his life philosophy. I don't know, you know. I mean, I know, but it's just like how I look at it is like I hate violence. I hate being disenfranchised. I hate being hated. I hate lies. I hate people who lie about. I don't. I should say not people, but I hate when people lie about me. I hate the whole industry of anti-whiteism. You see where I'm going with this? So like, I hate it when I see videos every single day of white people getting beat up by black people. You know, I hate knowing that my tax money is going to buy bombs to kill foreigners in another country. You know, or lining the pockets of corrupt politicians. You see where I'm going with this? So, like, those are normal things to hate. If you don't hate those things, maybe something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? I hate deception. Um, I hate dishonesty. I hate when people pretend to be your friend and they're really just using you. And it's some sort of loyalty issue, you know? You see where I'm going with this? Like, these are not abnormal. There's nothing like against, you know, YouTube's policies or something. Shit. Always got to stay hydrated. So, this is a lot of what Kaimoros's speech talks about is like hatred is good, hatred is power. You should hate. You should hate more. You should hate with like unbridled passion. You know, like that's you know, that's Kaimoros. You know, and so the point I'm kind of getting to here is that we would do a little chat about the topic and then play his speech and maybe, you know, kind of give like a context to the speech and take it from there. So let's see. Western Kind is out. You have a good one, bud. Let's see. Didymus says, I'm waiting patiently for a liberal Christianity, but it's like watching paint dry. Yeah, yeah. So like one of my things is like I support Christian nationalism. I think that's like a must. That if Christians you know expect to be around, you know, and not martyred under Noahide law or otherwise, then you'd better combine your faith with nationalism. You know, Andrew Torba is a big proponent of that. Yeah. So I'm really getting into some teeny tiny nitty gritty drawing here. Like I said, this is some of the harder stuff to do in comics because, like, this is the main character up on this balcony, and I'm not gonna draw every little nook and cranny. You know, I've already established he's on the balcony. You know, and so you're kind of pulling the camera away, moving it around. You get the idea. Okay. Vox says, staying sane in an insane world that has been turned upside down by our enemies. Yeah, that's tough. But I feel like having this is what sort of the spiritual dimension is of this. And then it drops something, I swear. Is it's I don't know how to say this, but it's like save your soul. You know what I mean? Like the these forces are dark, and they're real, and they're bad, and they're very severe. So you got to realize at the end, all you have is your soul. You just take your soul with you, nothing else. You leave a better world behind, but you can't, you cannot get consumed in the flames, of all this stuff. Now, our anger is righteous, but do we want to self-immolate? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to find out what's the most productive way to emotionally navigate these things. And I personally find the power in God. There's other particular practices that I have, but that's me. That's my what works for me. You know what I mean? And like I could teach people how to do that, if they wanted to know. Maybe I should just do it. Maybe I should just like don't wait for people to ask and just go show them. That's actually a damn good idea. So I guess maybe I'll talk on that a little bit. Well, there's a certain level of, what's the word, like awareness that you have where it's kind of like, I suppose what I would call it as like karmic theater, or dharmic theater would be the more like Buddhist way to call it. But karmic theater is essentially everything that people do is it has karmic results, positive or negative. And some people might not believe this or whatever, but karma literally just means cause, condition, and effect. And so, and there's why do good things happen, or why do bad things happen to good people? It's a very complex thing because of many factors involved. I guess I really should write down my thoughts before I try to iterate them, since they're like a little too complicated. But what I guess I'm saying here is to have a little bit of distance. I guess this is like what the Stoics would teach you, is like to have some kind of mental, emotional distance from what's happening. And that sounds sort of cold and maybe dead or not passionate or something. Something's odd about it, but actually, it's like very kingly to do that in a way. And so, what you're doing is you are monitoring your response to things rather than the thing itself. So I see, how do I say, like, there's certain things that I cannot see because I know that they cause like so psychic harm to me, like emotional harm to me. I don't want to see burnt children screaming in a hospital. You know what I'm saying? It hurts to watch that. It's a terrible, terrible thing. But then there's a side that says like you need to see that because this is what's happening in the world, and you want to know, like, where are my tax dollars going? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's a kind of, well, how do I choose to respond to this? Am I, and you see people online, and there's some pretty fucked up reactions to things like that, But most of it's angry. People are obviously very angry. The thing with, say, Lucas Gage promoting the Groypers. So straight out of the gate, I'm like, oh, I want to comment on this. I want to say all these things and da da da. But instead, I just post it and share it and say, okay, well, this happened. And then give it time to gestate and see how people are responding to it. And then kind of learn from that, because there's a lot of very, very, very smart people in our sphere. And they have good takes, they've got good ideas. I know what my own ideas are. I don't have to blather them out like, oh, everybody look at me. Like that's not necessary. Instead, let the let the public kind of do and say what they will, and then flow with it. So it's actually very martial. It's a kind of a martial arts approach to this, to be honest with you. So that's a good start. Let me go back here because you guys are talking about some interesting things. This is why I love streaming, because I get in good conversations with you guys. Staying sane, watching the mainstream Protestants talking heads kvetch about Christian nationalism is painful but amusing. Yeah. I wonder what is the relationship between Protestantism and Zionism. That would be a very interesting thing to know. You know what I'm saying, right? Vox says, I understand this is what Christ's perspective was, and he was being persecuted. Higher level of consciousness. Whoa, thanks. Yeah, I mean, try to imagine being nailed to a cross and having this kind of, peaceful, loving heart to have the perspective of, like, seeing the Roman soldier who's hammering the nail as like your brother, and that you love him, and that you forgive him. And I mean, that's actually, like, I could get into my own ideas about what Christ is, and Christ consciousness, as I would like to call it, and the importance of it. And so, like, if, let's just say, if I were to, it's tricky to talk about, because like people want you to follow they want you to color within the lines. They want you to use the standard way of thinking and talking about this topic. Otherwise, it's like, well, it doesn't, something. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want to get into that. I want to get into real life, useful information. How can I apply Christ's teachings to our political situation? How about that? You know what I'm saying? So that is, to me, meaningful. That's what we need to be doing, you know. God is the sum of all consciousness and is ever present, constantly present. God is the soul of your soul. And so when you're struggling and suffering, it brings you closer to God. And sometimes that's like, well, that sucks, I mean, like, I don't, why do I have to suffer and all these things, But you do have to suffer, because suffering is evolution. Suffering is how we grow. It's how we learn. And it's a part of nature. You know what I'm saying? So if you can take your suffering with a certain spiritual perspective and bear it with God and share it with God, I suppose, then I think there's something beautiful there that you can experience. That, because this world is it's not permanent, and it's not anything to invest in the sense of, like, I think you guys can understand what I'm saying about that. But how do we be compassionate to our enemies? That's an interesting concept. To me, that kind of compassion is, it's not like that they deserve it, but it's rather about preserving our own spiritual qualities, using this struggle to evolve spiritually. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is kind of thinking that I have. And it's, this is, I'm really sticking my neck out here. Like, this isn't the stuff that I really, I guess I don't talk about it like that much or whatever. Maybe I should. Should I? Is this the kind of stuff I should talk about more? What are your thoughts? Share some thoughts with me. Um, mm, Vox says, I understand this is what Christ's perspective was. Oh, I just read that. Okay. I guess I'm really just musing on like my own way of coping, you know. But it does go back to Joel Davis's statement about how we need a kind of racial spiritualism. That we need something to strengthen us, give us a greater sense of self as we face these challenges going ahead. Oh, well, I didn't plan on being a guru today. And I think that I don't have consistency in the way that I talk and the way that I behave, so I wouldn't, you know, it's a struggle is what it is. It's a struggle. So you can talk, you know, and it's okay, you know, it's like you should talk. It's good to have plans, you know. Thinking out loud a little here and there. But you know, when the rubber meets the road, I guess I see it like I don't want to suffer and I don't want others to suffer. So, what can I do that makes sense in this regard? You see, so like that, it comes back to that hate thing. Like, I hate suffering. I hate other people suffering. I don't want to suffer myself, right? So, in a world that's trying to kill you and like humiliate you and hate you, how do you remain spiritual? That's actually what's really going on. Let's see, we got something here. Vox says there is a sense like the movie Groundhog Day that we are repeating the same mistakes until we come to realize to realization for personal spiritual growth. That's so well done. That is so well said. It really, really is. It's kind of, it shakes you up a bit too, you know. Didymus says YouTube alto blowing up my comments. Oh, the algorithm. I sometimes, when people make certain comments, YouTube will kind of hide it, and then I have to like read it and, you know, unhide it, I guess, you know. But like I don't really like on my in my group channel or whatever. I don't censor people. Like, if two people have an argument or something, that's between them. You know what I mean? And I'll get involved when and if I need to, you know. But like, you guys are adults, you know. Like, I don't, you know. And I mean, I see it like we're all in the same team, you know. That's why like I don't try to what's the word, alienate like my Christian friends and followers. I want to learn more. I want to know more. I want to be able to in a sense, figure out what is it that Christians need to do in this movement. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that's a ginormous power and resource that we, in a sense, aren't really tapping. And, you know, critics of Christianity would say, well, it's because it's Jewish. You know, and I'm like, okay, I know, da da da. And then you come across information that's essentially showing that Jesus was not Jewish, and that blows that whole thing out of the water. I'm not really, like, I don't sort of have a dog in that fight, kind of. I don't feel like I need to like make people believe that, although I have like serious doubts that Jesus was Jewish after, you know, looking at the information that I've seen. I mean, I'm like pretty much a Gnostic, so like I think of Jesus's teachings as like just the teaching of a Buddha. He was, in my view, a holy man. You know, but I feel like people like Jesus and Hitler are the two people that have been the most lied about in history. You know. So that's my whole thing. Is like I'm not interested in getting bogged down into dogma. Like that's useless to me. If you know, other people can do that if they are so inclined, but it doesn't change a tire. It doesn't, you know, fix a window. It doesn't have any, like, for me, I just can't go down that road because it's about like that's what I would call factoids. You know, arguing over like, you know, well, it says here and then this says that and who said this and he said that and she said that and da. Like, how is that helping us? Like, we need answers now. You know what I mean? That's more my way of thinking. I do think that we have like I don't know what to call it, but like we sort of philosophize too much in this movement, as far as I can say. And I love those shows. I love like Josh Neal just did a great show the other day. He's back online. I guess the docs really hurt him a lot, and he was kind of knocked out for quite a while. But he's back, and that show, this last show, was super good. So like, if you can catch it, look it up. And like, it's not that this show was super like had sort of too much philosophy and not enough like information that's grounded or something. But sometimes it does feel very like brainy, I suppose, and I don't know that that's great for everybody. It's good for some of us, but I don't know that I can reach, you know, the masses with all that brainy stuff. You know what I mean? YouTube algorithm, yeah. Okay, so, but anyway, one of the key concepts in that show that relates to my discussion here is what's called enclavism. Enclavism. So the making of enclaves, of cultural, racial enclaves. And my first instinct on this topic is like, well, I'm not for running away from the problem. I don't think that making enclaves is going to solve the problem. They're just going to make the world smaller and smaller. They'll make laws that make it illegal to do that, as they're already doing. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, then there comes the thought like, well, actually, we do need those things. So, like, we need both. We need to fight the powers, but we also need to rebuild our world. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. What the hell is this? That's why it's complex. It requires a bit of this and a bit of that. That's why I feel like, boy, it'd be great if we all had like a handbook. You know, like here are best practices for, you know, the internet. Here are best practices for financial investments, and here is how to can vegetables, and here is how to strip a deer or something. You know, like here's how to harvest honey. You know, here's how to barter with your neighbors or whatever it is. You know, here's how to defend yourself, some martial arts or something. Um, you see where I'm going with this? It's like, in a sense, it's like America 2.0. You know what I mean? Like we kind of have to start all over. We have to be more self-sufficient, self-reliant, and I'm not. I'm totally not. You know. So I'm not going to be like telling people to do that if I can't do it myself. You know. But I'm all about it, though. I mean, I would like to do that more. I'll put it that way. So, so like I like what Mark Collette's doing. You know, he's got an actual IRL community, and they meet up, I guess, pretty much every week and do stuff. You know, I mean, they're out cleaning up parks. They're collecting gifts for presents for Christmas, or you know, they're doing hanging banners. Da 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 da. They're doing stuff. You know. I guess in my case, like, yeah, banner drops are cool and stuff. That's fine, whatever. But I guess I would think more along the lines of like, I think it'd be great to say, you know, train people in how to, you know, buy real estate and A, B, C, D, F, G, you know, all of the things that, like, in my town, I see a lot of places for rent. And when you check to see who is the landlord, it's like Mohammed Aziz shish kebab, you know, and I'm like, I'm not fucking paying a Muslim rent. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? But then it's occurring to me like this is, and we all know that this is how they run their communities. They have like a pool of money that they help each other with, you know, and you know, like every smoke shop where I live is owned by Muslims. What's that all about? You know what I mean? And then doing things like creating, you know, public, fun public get-togethers. You know, Jeff Winston had this idea of doing dances like the old days. Like, I mean, that's more of like a country music kind of a thing. I think that is suitable probably for country culture or something. But you know, the idea of doing maybe swing dance or something to do that is communal and that, you know, men and women can meet each other and have fun. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of community building that would be great to do. I don't know. It seems like we're just too modern. You know, we're too modern for that. Like, I don't know that that's actually going to happen or work. But I like the idea. You know what I mean? I like the thinking. I like where he's going with that. You know? So, um, talk. So I just recently asked White Student T about what's next with the Equal Training Show. I'd say it's time for me to start getting my proposal together to, I want to have like a white identity book section at my library, or all the local libraries. And I think I could at least lay out a draft, and then probably show it to some lawyers and get their take on, like, you know, what would happen if I did this, like what are the pitfalls here, let's see. So, because the truth of the matter is that these libraries they would have to do it according to their own rules, their own standards, and laws of, like, non-discrimination laws, if you will. They would have to do this because they would be discriminating on race, and that's a no-no. So the idea here is to use their own kind of laws against them, you know what I'm saying? To leverage it in that way. So, one would assume that, like, there's not going to be any response. I'm not going to get, they'll just ignore my request. And then we'll see how long they ignore it. And then, until, I don't know, how far do I have to go? Do I have to, like, say, you haven't replied to me, and I'm gonna take this to the next level? What is the next level? You know what I'm saying? But one thing, like what Student T was saying, is that, the landscape has changed. Like, we're not, because all of this anti-white material exists and there's no representation for us, then, that is the kind of the context, I guess, of, like, why have a white identity book section in the library? You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure, like, we'll work on it together somehow. We'll I'll probably start off with the draft or what have you, and then kind of let him edit it and say, like, oh, this isn't gonna work, or you could add that, or because the book that he wrote, he spent years putting this together, and it's very, very thorough. He himself went through a lot of these situations where he was in college, and the professors would be, teaching some anti-white bullshit, and then he would question them, and then they would say, well, I can't legally do X, so then he would go to, like, the dean, and I mean, it just kept going up and up the ladder, and it's pretty interesting how that works, So his mission specifically is more targeted around schools. Anna is here. Hello, Anna. Feliz Navidad, with a little delay. Should I sing that song? Feliz Navidad. Dun, 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 dun. Feliz Navidad. That's for you, Anna. That is just for you. Jose Feliciano. I love that version. I really like that song. Actually, years ago, I had a Jose Feliciano album with that song on it. And he has a song called Red Shoes that's super cool. It's just got a really, really cool vibe to it. I don't know, I'm going off track here. Vox says, yeah, but this is kind of like the removal of historical monuments that led to Charlottesville, for good or ill. So what is like that? I lost the context here. So I guess, having like a white identity section at the library would have books from Jared Taylor and Antelope Hill, White People Press. Uh, I'm sure there are going to be books on Hitler and Mussolini and, all the parts of World War II that are hidden. And there's going to be massive pushback. There's going to be massive, massive pushback. So keeping my name private or whatever could be an issue with this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are people going to go after me because I insist on this? You know what I mean? But how glorious it'll be. Okay, so let's see what Vox says. Kind of like the library thing. Anna says, haha, yes, that's a typical Spanish Christmas song. Oh, I'm so glad you liked it. What are you drawing? Well, I am drawing a new book. This is a new story. It's not new. It's new for you guys. This is an old client that I was working for, and I started his graphic novel. I'm about 5 issues in, maybe 4 issues in, I guess. I don't know. And the funding came through, so we're gonna finish the book, and there's another 5 issues. Whew! So Uncle Don is gonna be very busy with this new, again, not new, with this project that I have to finish. So I'm excited about it. We Are Western Kind is here. Swing dance. Yeah, I mean, that you really have to learn swing dance. That's there's something to it, right? It's but that is a kind of a niche thing right now. There's people out there doing it. That it looks fun. I'm sure my parents knew how to do it. Or my grandparents, or people in the past knew how to do it. So it's very white too. You know what I mean? Like it's very white, which is nice. All right, I'm gonna try one of my new markers. Okay, and I lost. Here it is. Okay. So they are editing classic literature to make a non-white and/or lib correct, sanitizing it. Monaghan boys here, welcome. So what you're saying is that they're changing our literature, and is that what you're saying? Like the way that they take down our statues? Is this what I'm hearing? So I mean, this is even more reason to have a white identity section in the library. And the thing about it is, like, you get one library to do it, and you can get all of them to do it, because they have a national standard. And so I don't know, maybe I'll tour America on a legal tour of like suing. I'm not talking about suing. Calm down. But I think you understand what I mean. I hope you understand what I mean. It's a struggle, guys. I mean, this isn't gonna come easy. You know what I mean? This isn't a walk in the park. You gotta expect to have some struggle in this thing. There's also the kind of, like, how much can I risk doing this? Like, what, what I'm trying to say. Like, if someone actually does go after me here, like, is this, how can I defend myself, or something, So we'll feel it out. But I would expect that if for some reason, the library is forced to do this, that they will somehow find a way around it, like hide it in some obscure part of the library where people don't go, and something like that. That kind of bullshit. But we'll see how it pans out. Right now, though, honestly, my main focus is on this project that you see me doing now. I will just say that is what I'm doing. Oh, they are editing close. Da da da. Vox says Richard Spencer got a lot of press in the beginning, but then they came after his family and turned his wife against him. So my family's kind of already against me, but so everybody gets the call. If you get too big, you get the call, and that's like a meme, where like you have too much influence, and so they pay you a visit, and they let you know that we're gonna hurt your family if you continue on this path. Lucas Gage published many texts and shit that he got from Jews that were threatening to kill his family, you know? And I'm like, and then he's like a military guy, so he's like, oh, nobody can mess with me. But like, just because you're a military guy doesn't mean, and not only that, you're putting your family in danger. So I'm not at all wanting to do that. Like, that's nowhere near my mentality. Getting a like a white section in the bookstore, not the bookstore, the library. I don't know. Is it going to cause that much trouble? Who knows? I need some water. That's kind of excuse me. That's what I mean about him being naive. Like he's, for fuck's sake, like his last little thing on Twitter, on Rumble. He's like, it's blah blah blah, talk, and then he's like, oh, my wife and kid are in Atlantic City right now, so I'm gonna something. I'm like, you don't tell people where your wife and kid are, and you're not there. Like, what are you thinking? Like if you're in this situation and if you do this kind of work, you don't say shit like that. Like, that's fucking stupid. To me, like, oh, I'm a military guy, don't mess with me. Like, then how come you don't fucking know the simple thing like that? So that's the thing about these meatheads. I love the guy. I love the guy. So, I'm not trying to be mean to him, but I care about him. I don't want him to get hurt. But that's the whole thing about that whole, like, the whole culture of military culture. It's like so meathead. I don't know. Not my favorite thing. Anyway. All right. I'm wondering, have I finished the points that I was talking about? So Spencer, yeah. So my I had Spencer on my show, by the way. So like I strongly recommend you guys look that up. It's in the Imperium Art playlist. And Imperium Art is a series, kind of like a documentary of people, influencers in our movement, and their thoughts on the arts and the importance of the arts within the movement. So there's like 45 episodes, and I got a lot of big names on there. Also, plus a lot of artists from the White Art Collective, and then some kind of oddball people that are just sort of orbiting the movement. One of the dudes is like half black and half Jewish, you know. So like, there's a lot of interesting content in there, and you can check it out. Anyway, so the Spencer show was on fashion, actually, and that's not something that we sort of talk about very much in the arts, but it's a part of the arts, you know. It was such a fun show, like such a blast, and he bought some of my work, so he's you know, a patron. But yeah, when he after Charlottesville, like he just turned totally around, and I thought, he's under duress, like they're threatening him, I guarantee it. There's no way that you can be like the guy in, you know, like the guy that represents this movement and do a full, you know, turn on everybody and everything and be like, yeah, I'm pro Biden now. It's just no way. There's no way a guy that smart could be pro Biden. I mean, I guarantee that he was threatened. I mean, I can't guarantee that. That's a stupid thing to say, but I mean, that's my belief. You know, you know, trying to think of like a prize fighter who's like the champion, and then some small guy comes along and defeats him, and like you don't believe it. Like he went down in the, you know, he was told to go down, you know, and this is essentially what I believe happened to Richard, you know. And anybody who gets too big is going to get the call. It's just, it's how the game is played with these people. In fact, what we're bracing ourselves for right now is that the Jews are going to start co-opting white identity politics. They're going to, I mean, just today, and I know you guys are like, how? You know, like, what? I mean, that's total opposite, but you fucking watch. You wait and see. Well, before I read the comments, I want to get this thought out of my head because I'll lose it. The former head of the ADL, I should do like a screen clip or something. I did share it on Twitter, but he just made a statement saying that forced immigration has backfired on the Jews, and that it was a bad idea and we should stop it. And everybody's like, what? You know, your head's spinning around. Like, did I just hear that guy say that? Like, that's, what? You know, it doesn't. And, you know, on the first hand, you can say, like, what an amazing, rare admission of fault on the part of the Jews, which is something they'll never, ever do. And then looking at it and saying, okay, so you're backpedaling on the white genocide program that you fund and have designed and are fully in support of through this migration policies, etc. Because it's backfired, and now people know it's the Jews that are doing this, and like even normie like Republicards are you know, obviously against it, and then when they know that it's the Jews that are behind it, not good for the Jews. You see what I'm saying? So he's put it together. He's figured it out, and he's making this statement. So the question is, okay, so where do they go from here? How do they recalibrate their strategy? What do they do to compensate for their loss? You know, how do they build on this into some other psyop? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy shit, man. I mean, it's fucking times we live in. It's insane. This is so crazy. All right, I'm gonna read the comments. Riding with Biden. Let's see. Yeah, Richard Spencer. We are Western Kind, says Lindy Hop. It's good fun. The Lindy Hop. It is very white, however, can be shrouded in anti-white narrative. Overall, a good scene and loads of fun. Yeah, it does look like a lot of fun. Riding with Biden. Well, yeah, the civil trial on Charlottesville was somewhat of a white pill, as Cantwell and others got their judgments dismissed. Okay. Aryan Joe. Not. Joe is a self-proclaimed Zionist who has said on film that like he will depopulate America, that he will make whites an absolute minority, in his words. Vox says, I'm not sure if Richard had to pay out because they know his family comes from money, right? You know, that's his private business. I wouldn't inquire about that. But so I just had Mark Brahman on the show for the Christmas show. Mark's a good friend, and Mark and Richard are very close friends, and they did what's it called? Unconscious Cinema. It was a really cool movie review show. And I even said to him, "Man, you guys got to bring that back." And he's like, "We are. We're building ourselves up again." So they got a Substack that's doing really well, and they're essentially building up whatever, you know, their brand, if you will. I don't know what to call it, but they're doing something. So that's good to know. I'm happy to hear that. I have to be honest, I often do think, like, how could I work with Richard? He's a big supporter of the arts. You know, he's bought art. He was on my show. Like, we have a good, I mean, we're not buds or whatever. We don't like hang out or talk or something. But I do feel like there's a lot of potential here that we haven't really tapped or figured out what could we do with. But perhaps something will come up in the future. I don't know. It'd be fun. We had a really funny banter on Imperium Art when he was on. So if you do catch that show, it's very enjoyable. I kind of have a certain, like, I know, kind of like Richard Spencer lore, and was able to make jokes that, you know, he would get and stuff. So that was fun. It was fun. So, jeez, what time is it? My God, it's going on 11 my time. I'm not sure. He's just playing 4D chess. To be honest, I'm pretty sure that that's true. I'm like, I would bet money that that's what he's doing. So, I'm not a big fan of the contrarianism, though. Like, I don't. To me, it's like, okay, fine, if you've got hot takes and, you know, you can back it up, that's fine. But, like, this sort of, like, to be contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, I don't know about that. Like, I admire that he's highly intelligent and can make hot takes or whatever. But sometimes it's irritating. I'll just gonna be honest. Like, it's a little too much. Like, you know, there's this. I don't know how I look at it, I guess, is that I feel like it's a type of, you know, never ever having faith in anything, never ever settling down, and always being the guy who's like, you know, supposedly a few steps ahead, you know, and as such, you can't trust anything, you know, and I to me that's silly, you know, that's kind of like, it's just sort of trying to be cool, and I don't know, maybe I'll get some backlash for saying this, but I feel that that's really kind of high school type thinking, you know, like you shouldn't, you know, you seek the truth, you know, torture the data, as they say, you know, like, you know, do a rigorous debate on whatever it is, but then come to your conclusions and leave it alone. Like, you don't have to constantly doubt yourself. You know, to me is silly. You know, it's not that he's doubting himself. I shouldn't really put it that way, but doubting, say, the content of whatever it is that's being debated. You know. Anyway, I think this page is done, guys and gals, and it's also going on 11, and I gotta work tomorrow. Oh, trust the plan. Good one. Let's see. Vox says, "Wow, this has been fun. Hope you had a great Christmas and Happy New Year. Your plate is almost finished. Nice work." Well, golly gee, that is I'm so happy you're enjoying the show, because like, I love hanging out with you guys and talking stuff and getting, you know, input and ideas from you, and commenting on like whatever's happening, what's going on, sharing my opinions, my ideas, and getting some artwork done. So like, you know, like I said, it's a paid job, so I'm going to be focusing on this for quite a while. I got a lot of work ahead of me. Anyway, I am going to wish you guys a lovely evening. Very happy New Year. God bless you, and we'll see you on the internets.